Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by, I can't see because I've got Killah Priest podcast on screen. We are joined by Sensual Goat, Neil, Flatsy, Refracted, Eli, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So welcome one and all.
How are you?
Oh, roll.
Good afternoon.
Good day. Good day.
I'm good. Less than slick when I've got the video we were watching in the pre-show up rather than my panel that I need to introduce at the start of the show. Other than that, doing really well. How are you all in Discord? All good, I hope?
Very good.
Good. I'd like
Fine,
to keep
thank you.
jolly good. Now, as you were all privy to us listening to Killah Priest, and I know Jardo's already listened to it and gave a lot of props to Eli, hopefully, I haven't actually asked Killah Priest their permission to play their video, but hopefully they'll be reasonably conciliatory in allowing us to listen back to Eli's performance over on the Killah Priest podcast. And indeed, it's always nice to share the love, regardless of them being considerably larger than ourselves. Please let Killah Priest podcast know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. Now, I am actually subscribed, I will just admit already, although you can probably see it says I'm subscribed, so there's no point trying to hide it. So I'm a little bit biased because I do watch Killah Priest, but nevertheless, I encourage you to do the same. It's good material, and as you can probably see, one of our own is taking part and participating in their shows, which is Eli, which is what we're going to listen to now. So it would be good. I've put a link in the YouTube live stream chat right now to Killah Priest, so please let them know that we sent them along with a polite comment, and I say that with all sincerity for a change. Not like I need to encourage you not to be impolite to them. You can genuinely just go along and in the nicest possible way subscribe, leave them a comment, leave them a like, and enjoy what we play to you now along with the rest of the material that preceded it. So Kim and Eli were discussing how good the material is before this. I haven't watched any of it. This is my first foray into it, but I'm sure you'll all enjoy the full podcast. But we're specifically focused on the bit that Eli got involved with and talked about Flat Earth. Now, up until now, he's just, in the pre-show, set the stage, got them to play a little video that basically describes the physical geometric sphere edge horizon, and now we're going to actually hear Eli's foray into it for real. But before I do play that, I do want to give the opportunity to the live audience to actually do as I'm suggesting, which is to go along to Killah Priest, let them know, as stated, at Nathan Oakley 1980, all one word, sent me, and really enjoyed hearing Eli, or whatever it is that you get out of the podcast after you subscribe, give them a like and leave a comment. Hopefully that's enough time for the 40 plus people. I know we've only just started, but whoever's just landed as we've only just started to go along to Killah Priest. I will do another call to action towards the end of us playing this. Also, before I do play, I am asking Eli, who is the participant on the show itself that we're listening to give his little preamble. I know you've already given us one in the pre-show, Eli, but if you would beg my indulgence as we're now live to do the same thing again.
Wait, do what again?
Just give us a little bit of preamble. I'm on Killah Priest. This is when I went. This is why I went. Enjoy. Something like that.
Oh. Okay, yeah. Out there. Yeah, I went on Killah Priest podcast maybe a couple of times about 2 years ago, shortly after the Dave Weiss, Lord Jamar. I don't know if you guys remember that episode, Karen B, but that was pretty huge too. Actually, that I think his channel was around 15,000 subscribers at that time, and it just blew up. So I'm happy for them. and I was happy to be had on the show, invited to the show by my boy Vinny, and I was there to talk about Flat Earth because, in my opinion, when Dave was on there, he left a couple of he left the cowbell out. So I went there to put in the cowbell and represent FED, and I hope I did well for you guys out there.
Well, without further ado, this is what we're getting today.
So if you go to Google and you type in distance to horizon formula, everything that I just said will basically be right there. So you drop down people
Who was that?
This is a random dude. None of these people are flat earthers that I'm gonna show you. I'm showing you these are all just things that you find that are supposed to be true. That you find, wait a minute, there's some inconsistencies here or some contradictions here.
Okay, which one should I click on?
So I mean, where you at? I can't see the screen
You said
share.
distance to the horizon formula?
Yeah, when you go to Google, I'm just saying that.
Oh, okay.
For anybody at home, you can take washington.edu. Like we like all of the edus. We're not afraid of that. Actually, we want to look into that.
I see what you're saying. I always get people with the Earth curvature calculator.
And they're all over the place.
Yeah, and it's
Here's
like for
another
every
thing.
100 miles, there's supposed to be 6.666 thousand feet of curvature.
All right. You have an Earth calculator? The Earth?
Yeah, Google.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about this. Like,
See,
you
all this
said,
got to
they're
come
giving
out,
us-
yo. This got to
Yeah.
come. All right.
like
that's
you
why I'm
said,
doing
Go ahead.
Yeah, so like here, notice, I mean, there's obviously, a few people on the panel, and again, there's gonna be people that throw things out there that may be red herrings, unbeknownst to them. And notice that I keep going back to the original point because that point is important. It's not like I'm just gonna say, "Ooh, the Earth is flat because black swan," and then move on. Or, "Ooh, celestial navigation," say something vague about it and move on. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's exciting and all that. Here's what we're talking about, though.
Well, you're
We
taking your
didn't get
time at
that
this
from
point.
the other opponents or debaters out there.
I could criticize thus far. I'm not going to because I don't know where this is going, and so you're building tension. Let's just carry on.
doing it. People have spoken about it, but I'm like, I need people to see what I'm talking about because this is what we're talking about is the problem, and nobody knows that.
So the idea is once people see the lies of something like this, then a lot of other lies become more suspect. A lot of other truths they tell us become more suspect.
You good, John? See, Sean, I've been cracking it. Good.
And then we realize, how much we actually are in a matrix, how the world is a stage. And then
So you see.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So anybody at home, you type in distance to horizon formula, you go down to where it says people also ask, how do you calculate the distance to the horizon? So in order to make a calculation, you have to have actual metrics, right? Like if you were gonna build, like if you were gonna put tiles down, you would first have to measure how much area you have, and then you would calculate how many tiles you need for that, right?
Yeah. Carpentry.
Okay. So the reason that we can calculate this is because supposedly somebody's measured the dimensions somehow. So we can get into that. But so let me read this real quick. So for all practical purposes, we can estimate the distance to the horizon using 1.22459 times the square root of the observer's height. Or perhaps even more simply is just 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height, which gives the distance in miles when h is in feet. So that's the claim. That's why that guy in that video I just showed you said what he said, as if it was true fact, right? So this is a claim that we can test. Okay, the horizon is geometric. It's a geometric consequence of the size of the sphere we're on. Picture a basketball. So you have do I have a basketball? Picture anything spherical. You hold it in your hand. You understand that there's going to be that line, right? There's going to be that line. You can't see the rest of the ball because it's curving away from you. That's what they're saying
go.
the horizon is, but because we're so small, the horizon looks flat. But that's their claim.
Right.
So you see it, you see the limitation for what you can see. Well, you can do some math on that. You can figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're saying about the Earth. The Earth is this specific size, and we can use this formula. This formula will calculate where the horizon is. Just like, if I come in.
Just as I was thinking, Eli, I'm nervous that he's taking too long to detail their claim to take it apart. I thought if he doesn't get to the taking it apart bit, someone's going to interrupt him. And just as I thought that, bottom left. Just saying.
If I come in, if I come into town and my house is maybe 10, 15 blocks away, it's never going to not be 10 blocks away if it's 10 blocks away. Soon as I enter into my town, that line, my house is 10 blocks away always. That's its locality. So they've given locality to the horizon. Where is it? Based on how high you are above the sphere. That's what they're talking about. So now, if you...
Oh, Eli, that's wrong. Not how high you are above the sphere, is it?
Well, because, yeah, I know.
Go on, enlighten me.
It was a little early. It's because it's flat. You can't. There's no sphere that you can't get an elevation above a sphere. So you can't get a height.
In fairness to Elijah, he's detailing their claim, not his.
Okay, I'll step off. I'll hold judgment.
You go to YouTube, you can type in CFI investigators. This is a short process. After this, this is like the intro, and y'all can ask me anything after that.
You want me to
Did you see D Marble last week? Did you see D Marble? Because he did the experiment.
Yeah,
Who? What? D Marble?
D Marble. Remember I brought D Marble on the other week?
Oh yeah.
Johnny, yeah. And D Marble was talking about, he did the experiment that Jeremiah is breaking down.
Right.
That's what he was talking about, where he had that laser above the...
Just for the audience's benefit, I'm giving Eli shtick, but this is talking to Eli from 2 years ago. So obviously today Eli is sharper than 2 years ago, Eli. So would I be, so would anyone be. So don't take my critiques as anything more than good fun and good humour for the audience's benefit. I know Eli knows that already. He knows this is him from 2 years ago also. Or did you? You did know that, didn't you, Eli?
The water. And
I remember that. Yep.
Just kidding.
Yep. Exactly.
There's no curve.
Right.
See, that's a parabolic equation that if a flat earther brings it up, they'll deny it to your face. Even though if I tell you that the curvature is 8 inches per mile squared, they say, well, that's actually wrong.
Right.
Oh, my bad. What parabolic equation would you like to use? Because the other ones actually take you further from, like, usually people, okay, number one, so I'm in a Discord service 24/7.
Yeah.
24/7 Flat Earth Discord, right? And we have people come in and ask us questions. It's a platform kind of like this where people could come in and ask questions and be a part of the conversation. And a lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, well, the 8 inches per mile squared is wrong. And then we'll say, okay, so use whatever equation you like. And the reason that we're talking about that is because we're talking about an observation and whether something should be at a specific distance or not. And they'll say, well, if we use my equation, it'll tell us that the distance to that thing actually was accurate and you flat earthers were wrong. Then they use that equation and it's further from the result that they wanted. Happens every day. So
a lot of them don't even have an equation.
When you're ready, go to the
they're just like, no, it's just really big.
Exactly. No, we're not doing that. It's not really big. It's not. No, they gave it specific dimension, and you could use a little math.
How many people think that's what she said?
Yeah. Okay. So you want me to type something in here?
Yes, CFI investigators.
CFI.
So what these people do.
Okay.
I'll wait for you to get it up.
Okay. CFI.
Keep going. Go scroll. Keep scrolling. Yep, right there.
That's what she said, Elijah.
Right now, a little further up with the guy with the lake behind him.
Psychic powers.
So
the paranormal.
skip to 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right.
Now pause it.
We said was going to happen.
Oh yeah, Mark Sargent.
This is National Geographic.
Okay.
Now they're going to be ridiculing. Well, maybe there's a little ridicule on both sides, but here's the thing. CFI investigators partnered with National Geographic. You would
Yeah, I hope he doesn't play too much of the footage, because even though it's me playing Killah Priest, playing them, they'll still strike me. Bastards.
expect National Geographic to have what? Editors, right? They would have a process to where everything in this video is the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, right? Like, so when I show you what I show you, there's gonna be no mistake that either there was some manipulation or they were ignorant.
Manipulation? Isn't this the boat with the stripes on? This is a black swan, right?
I should have used was incompetence or they just lying.
No. What I mean by that is, am I mistaken? Is this video that is about to be played the one about the helicopters where they put an edit in and then there's a set of birds that repeats? Or is this the National Geographic Black Swan? I don't know from the freeze frame what video this is. I just said National Geographic. It is the Black Swan one.
Same video, but Black Swan, yeah.
And is that what you're using it for, yeah?
Yes.
Cool. We're all on the same page. It's 2 years ago, man. I can't remember. Shout out from 24/7 Flat Earth Discord. Woohoo! Our boy Eli showing how to show up! Exclamation mark. Says Theo Megawerty. Please support Flat Earth by bringing the good arguments to the front line. Show up so we can glow up. Thank you very much. Excellent super chat, Theo Megawerty. He's been on the panel earlier. He was just trying to figure out ways of getting me to be easier to communicate with. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
I would say that they're ignorant. I'll give them that grace. So let's get into it.
Happened, and with the boat thing, it's the same thing's going to happen. It's just going to be a shorter version of it.
I can't play this. Even though he's playing it and I'm playing him, I've learned from experience. Where's my dib dab? I'm fast forwarding this. Sorry, Eli.
No, yeah, that's fine. Everyone else has seen it, so I can just describe it. Basically, what happened.
It's on screen. I've got the bit that we need, right? So this is it. This you can see it because it's on screen. Black Swan. The horizon's behind the boat, but they're claiming that the obstruction to the stripe at the bottom of the flag on the back of the boat is Earth curve. But the horizon's behind the boat. So if they're saying, trust our measurements, where we expect physical geometric sphere edge horizon to obscure the flag is as per the maths at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And here it is obstructing the flag. No, the horizon's behind the boat. So it definitely isn't Earth curve, Black Swan. Anyway, I'm going to fast forward through the bit with the actual video playing just because I don't want to get struck. I think he's paused it there. Perfect.
And as a matter of fact, there's no that's a local horizon because that's actually the beach that you're looking at or the shore.
Sure, and Earth curve.
That makes it worse for them.
Okay, let's just get back into the video. How much longer have you got in your little section here, Eli? Do you know? Can you remember?
I'm not sure. That might be. I mean, this is really the more pertinent point.
I was going to say
I said something about celestial navigation. I might have shared 10 slides somewhere, but
sure. But this the bulk of what you're doing is this now, isn't it? And presumably you're about to hit your crescendo now, right? Once he finishes this. Yeah.
Refraction, atmospheric lensing.
You can pause it.
Seen this so many times.
That's you telling him, not you now telling me.
Morning, guys.
You know what I'm gonna ask?
What are you gonna axe, Neil?
Please,
What are you going to
please
ask,
do, brother.
priest?
The solution to it all, because you said you had the answers to it all. Is this what are you looking? What are you talking about, AD? You act like that's the solution. That's the solution.
No, let's let him talk. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Well, the solution is you just accept what is, brother. Once we accept what is, then we can stop letting people tell us falsehoods and fallacy, and then maybe life will be a little better. Maybe.
Yeah, but when you started, when you started before the show started, you dropped some crazy. You was going in.
Look at what you're looking at.
Okay.
So the first thing I showed you was that the horizon has locality. The second thing I showed you is how they've derived that. Now, the third thing I just showed you, and he clarifies, he says the horizon is going to be what? A very particular number, 1.22 miles. Why? Because he's using the formula to inform him that that's where the horizon will be.
Okay, so the boat's a mile away from their position. So therefore, 1.22 is where at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet physical geometric sphere edge obstruction called Earth curve resides. If they're saying, well, that's going to reside at 1.2 miles, then you can assume that they're basing it on their observer height at the beach because they're at basically sea level and they're just taking it at the height of their tripods, right? They've got 1 foot observers, correct? They're on tripods?
Yep.
Where's the horizon?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying exactly.
In this photo, though.
Oh, this is the solution to everything. Oh, all right. I thought you were going to tell us.
No, mate, he's asking. Not telling. You've got to keep up.
I'm showing you.
Oh, okay.
Why I got to tell you?
It doesn't realise that the question you've asked isn't rhetorical. So the question you've just asked him is, where's the horizon? He's right. Yeah. Oh, right, you're asking me. Sorry, what was the question again? That's what he's doing now, isn't he?
Yeah. And that's why I go through this like really rudimentary way of like at every point I want to establish that the claim is the horizon is geometric. Because I know that in the end, I've had these conversations with people before, and sometimes it takes a minute to click.
You see it right there?
Oh, okay. All right. So okay.
So this proves
because you dropped it.
What you're looking at, is the guy basically just said that the horizon is 1.22 miles. Now that boat is either, because of the editing, I want to be fair to them, and flat earthers are always fair. It's either 2 miles or 3 miles. Bottom line is, regardless, that geometric locality is gone. So that horizon right there, whatever it is, isn't tied to the globe claim or the geometry. That's a problem. Not only that, we have observations, something called the black swan, where the horizon is at least 10 times further. We say 10 times further because we have these oil rigs off the coast of California, and they're stationary. Basically, the horizon is behind them, and the furthest one is about 9-point-something miles, and the horizon is well beyond that. So just to be fair, we say, okay, it's 10 miles. That's orders of magnitude away from the calculation. How is that?
Ergo, no curvature.
Well said, AD.
Ergo, government authorities have lied to you. Ergo, NASA is full of lies.
You've kind of allowed him to make the summary, which is almost right. Not no curvature. No, the horizon's not Earth curve. Therefore, Earth's not a sphere, right? So it's very specific because you're asking them, where's the horizon, right? Because it's no longer where the narrator is suggesting is causing the obstruction to the flag. Now, obviously, Eli's not saying that explicitly because I've spun through the video, so he doesn't need to because it's just been made explicit in the video I've spun through. But given that I'm going to have to make it seem as though Eli said something he hasn't because he doesn't need to, the video's serving that purpose. But they're saying, look, Earth curve's blocking this flag, right? At the distance we expect in the formulation, which they may not have said, which is why Eli did confirm that. But he's asking, where is the horizon? Now, they're all kind of looking at it, and they haven't given an answer. And then the summaries come from someone else, not Eli, which is, so therefore no Earth curve. No. Therefore, the horizon isn't Earth curve, because their horizon is suggested to be the thing blocking the boat, and that's Earth curve. But the horizon in the image isn't the thing blocking the boat. Yeah? That's something else, because the horizon's behind it. Okay, anyway, you can't help that. They've nicked your summary, Eli, it would seem. Who was it that did that? I can't see, they're too small, so I can't see his lips moving.
Oh, that's AD. That's he's the producer of the show.
He's the guy who wants you on
got
there.
Everybody in talking about flat Earth, basically.
So he is kind of following. Well, that's good then, because it shows he is kind of paying attention, and there's a gap in the show that he needs to fill, and at least he's paying half attention. But he hasn't. You wouldn't expect the producer of someone else's show to get at your point right, and he's kind of half there. No Earth curve. You're like, not quite. The horizon's not Earth curve, and it's got to be. So therefore, Earth's not a sphere.
Billions and billions of dollars. In 1971, Richard Nixon declared war on cancer with $100 million.
Okay, he's into a bit of a rant here now. Okay, fine. Right, we're making back to a bit more Killah Priest, but I'm going to do a call to action. If you haven't done so already, go and subscribe to Killah Priest Podcast and let them know with a polite comment, a like, a share, a subscribe, all that good stuff that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. So just pop him a little comment. I've put a link to the Killah Priest podcast that we were watching from a couple of years ago with Eli on it. And just give him a nice comment, subscribe, build them up in the YouTube algorithm, do all the things that we definitely don't get here with a nice comment. But most importantly, just let them know that I sent you along. So there you go. There's a good 100 people watching this show. So there's enough of you to toddle along to Killah Priest. Share the love. Give him a comment and subscribe if you like that sort of thing. I am already subscribed to Killah Priest. Good stuff. Okie dokie. Good job, Eli. I think today you'd have probably followed a different methodology, but that is always going to be true. So all the way through, I was itching to critique you based on today's standards, and I hope I did a good job of refraining from doing so.
No, you did. I felt the same. I was like, oh, gish galloping, all of these disjointed sentences, QEs haunting me.
No, I still think you did a good job. Bro. You did a good job. You got the basic principle of Earth curve geometry and it being debunked with the Black Swan to Killah Priest, and they were enthusiastic to hear it, which is all you can ask for, really.
Did you hit him with a nice welcome to Flat Earth?
Should have that's the only way to see. Yeah. My conclusion needed some cleaning up.
Well, the thing is,
doesn't matter. You
it's
didn't
not a
yell
flat
at
Earth
anybody.
proof.
You didn't shout anybody down like we get accused of. You represented Flat Earth debate, and you did a good job.
Exactly, you did a good job. And 2 years ago, we weren't welcoming necessarily people to Flat Earth. It wasn't a common thing as it is now necessarily. It may have been just.
What do you mean? We were doing that 4 years ago.
Oh, is it really that long? Man, that makes me feel old.
Right after the Black Swan.
That makes me feel old.
Right after the Black Swan. Welcome to Flat Earth was initiated right after the Black Swan. 2020.
You're right.
But they're not the same argument.
Hats to the left or something like that.
Yeah, but we didn't have the measurements.
Yes,
then.
sir.
That's what Nathan is saying.
Well, I am and I'm not. I'm saying that Welcome to Flat Earth isn't something that would come alongside the Black Swan. It coincidentally, timeline-wise, has, or did, past tense, but it isn't connected. You don't debunk Earth's sphericity and then immediately welcome someone to Flat Earth. You're just debunking that the horizon isn't where they say it is in their maths, based on geometry of a physical sphere edge. Well, when you debunk it, it means the horizon's not Earth curve, and therefore Earth's not a sphere. That's the conclusion, but not welcome to Flat Earth. So I'm just knocking chocolate at you, Eli, because Eli's like, we could have done with a welcome to Flat Earth. Well, for what? He's going through the Black Swan. It's a globe debunking.
Right, but the thing is, it's hard to detail someone else's claim and then go on and debunk it. The position that Earth's measured flat is an easy position to defend because it's true for everybody involved. It is the easiest position to take and start from there.
Yeah, if it was today that you went on there, I'm sure you'd be doing all the... You've heard me barking on at others for about 12 months straight that we should be on the front foot, right? We should be telling people how Earth's measured flat as our opener. Well, 2 years ago, I wasn't saying that. 2 years ago, we were all focused on taking apart the wider worldview of having an Earth curve edge, because that's their primary belief and claim. So, you know, good job for 2 years ago, but it wouldn't be the same review if QE, I keep calling you QE, Eli. If Eli was doing this today, I'm sure he'd be opening by going, yeah, it's measured flat, it's no big deal. It's not that serious.
That's what we're going to do when we get on there, right?
I would have a new vigor. You know, my beard is longer. You know, I have a bald head now. You know, I'm feeling the power Nathan's been feeling. And especially being on the show before and, you know, knowing that they want to have me on. Oh, man. Like, because before it was like I was new. So I was kind of just being polite and feeling my way around. And they seemed to really soak up the information. So this time around, I know that I will go in there with supreme confidence because telling them the Earth is flat is much easier than doing the Black Swan. I don't know why, it just is.
Say, with the reasons John just gave, first you've got to set the stage with their position, which is awfully dangerous. That's why I was itching to critique you. And it's unfair because that's what we were doing. And that's harder. As you just put so eloquently, it's getting easier because it's stopped being a debate. About a year and a half ago, we suddenly started to click, this isn't a debate. What are we doing? When you're in Killah Priest explaining how they claim Earth is a sphere with very specific detailed measurements and how they fail, you've got to set that stage. Well, you're on dangerous ground, detailing your opponent's position first. That's your opener. Hi, my name's Eli. I'm a flat earther. Let me tell you all about how the globe makes its globe claim. It's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why you can't see, and that's why I think doing it, you know, the way that everyone's used to, like with Witsit, and he does what he does. He gets on the platforms that he does. Kudos to him. But when you get on any one of the key points, you kind of want to slow the conversation down and kind of demand that let me just get this out right here. And anybody can do that. And I encourage Witsit to do that. Next time he goes on to a show, if he's talking about the Black Swan or if he's talking about elevation angles, he doesn't just, you know, say it and allow them to move on, but actually, you know, drill that point home first.
Well, they did it to Witsit. They did it to Witsit on that Sungenis and Tim Pool thing. But how many times was he allowed to state the globe claim and then didn't get to rebut it? How many times did that happen?
Well, it's because he didn't set it up. He didn't set it up like I set it up. There's no way they could have not given me the time after I asked them. He didn't do that.
I don't know. This is somewhere where I suddenly have to come to Witsit's defense because of what you've just said. If you're under the misapprehension that simply by saying to them, look, guys, I want the air to be able to put this across, and they've gone, yeah, no worries. No, there was just as much tension and that guy jumping in, producer or otherwise, and the other guy who interrupted because there's tension. Say again?
Pause. Chocolate, correct me if I'm wrong. One of the qualities that I have is making a room quiet. I've done that in Jim Panda's server. The same thing I did on Killah Priest podcast, I've done that everywhere I've went. I've done that in Earth Awakenings.
Yep.
So in my view, no one has an excuse. I've done it in the most hostile situations. Am I right, Chocolate?
Yeah, fair enough. You're saying just as a character trait, you can calm a situation down. I'll take that as read.
Yeah,
fair enough.
He's definitely good for that. Yep.
Yeah, fair enough.
But not everybody has that charisma or potential. So as a general rule, what you just did was dangerous.
Yeah, it was.
To someone that doesn't have that charisma.
Not only dangerous, the same as what Whitsitt did. I didn't want to have to do this. This is where I was like, I've got to criticise this because otherwise we'll be deemed hypocrites. I can see it in the comments now. How is that any different to Whitsitt when he's prefacing something he wants to debunk in the Globe claim and then getting rumpus when it comes to the actual debunking time? Well, according to Eli, he didn't set the stage and get everyone nice and calm before he did it. Well, you've just explained away that by saying that's a specific character trait of yours and an ability that you possess to do that. Now, maybe Whitsitt possesses that ability, but if you take a universal rule that most people, if they try and play that dangerous game, it doesn't matter if it's you or Whitsitt, won't get to the end victorious. Whereas if you start with your victory, Earth being measured flat, then you're far more likely to make that impact immediately, rather than fail to make it after reasserting the Globe claim dangerously. You got away with it. Most people wouldn't, including Whitsitt, who didn't.
So my question would be to the audience who would defend him in that sense. My question would be, why do it that way then?
That's
you
what
did
I
it,
asked him.
You did it that way, but because you know that you've got the gab to get away with it.
Exactly, but my question is, you ain't me, son. Why are you doing it that way?
Because that's how we've been trained to do it. That's the arguments and how they should be laid out. We've been trained to offer up the Globe's claim to then refute the Globe's claim as flat earthers. Flat earthers think this about the Globe, say somebody who's describing a flat earther. That's how we've been trained to do it.
Excuse me, but hold on. Let me just say something real quick. Hold on. Whitsitt is never going to do that. When I asked him, he said, I disagree. Proving the Earth doesn't spin is just as important as just laying it down that Earth is measured flat and drop an anchor right there. That's what you're going to get.
Proving non-existence is more important than proving existence.
That's what he said.
No.
I
have in my opinion, I have a better argument. And it's Brian's argument. He specifically talks about a flight. I'm sorry, I can't remember the 2 points, but he went north to west. Now they claim that the Earth is rotating east to west. There's no deviation. There's nothing. There's just you going from point A to point B. I know I was really vague about that, but that is something that is practically true. You don't have to talk about the stars and this, that, and the third. It's like, listen, I'm flying over the Earth. They say it does this. No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, the example of Tyson saying that while the ball was in the air, headed toward the field goal turned because it was connected to the Earth, and so that's why they made the winning goal. So they're saying that the plane is in the what? No, I don't want to get
we know what you're saying. You think that's easier?
I'm charging you with hearsay now.
Yeah, but what's your point?
I'm charging you with hearsay.
Hold on, John. You're detailing an anti-globe argument, but for what purpose? I don't know where you're going with this, Eli.
I'm basically even without talking about a globe, it's almost like talking about pitch data. It's like, what are you talking about? When I fly north to south, I'm just going from one point to another point. There's no rotation involved.
Exactly. You're debunking spin. Why?
Well, I'm saying it's better than talking about the sky and segueing into ether.
Sure.
But yeah.
Hold on. We'll get to you, John, I promise. Hold on. What, I don't know, other than me contrasting you with Whitsitt in terms of you playing the dangerous game of offering globe claims to go forth and debunk them after you've prefaced your opponent's position on their behalf as your opener. Now, when I say Whitsitt also did that and we've been highly critical, we're not being so critical of you because you got away with it. But ultimately, the overarching point here is, if it was today, we'd say, why preface a globe claimant's suggestion of proof to go forth and debunk it as a flat earther when we can just start on the front foot and say Earth's flat?
Right, you're right.
Right. The first thing that needs to change about the conversation is the default position, because it is, in people's mind, default a globe.
Exactly.
You need to correct that immediately.
Exactly.
Exactly. So not... Go on, Brian.
Sorry, Brian.
Nathan,
Yeah.
that's what that flight does. It shows
Hey,
that
Brian.
the claim they're making. Hey, Eli. It shows the claim. Is that Eli? Who said hello to me? I just started hello, Brian.
Yeah, that was
Sorry.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
before that too.
Could have been chocolate.
The other Eli.
Either the other Eli. Hey, chocolate. Hey, everyone. Look, no. What that flight does is it takes their claims and that they claim concerning the Earth and rotation, and it shows just, well, this is a flight that goes from London to Accra. It flies 3,000 miles in 6.5 hours, right? To do what Neil deGrasse Tyson himself would have to claim, it would have to fly 6,000 miles, right, in 6.5 hours, and fly at not fly north to south, but fly from London off out. It would be southeast towards basically South Asia.
Yeah, we got all that, and I don't disagree. But let me just try it one more time. That you've just gone through, if you're in the scenario of Killah Priest or something similar, is your opponent's position in terms of what it would do if Earth was a sphere and how it does not do that. So, as a flat earther, I'm trying to, and have been for a year, I can't believe I'm having this conversation with my own panel, but I am, been saying, why do that? I'm not going to...
Because you have to debunk them.
If for the sake of argument, there's people out there that describe themselves in this arena, flat earth or globe earth, but talk about something completely redundant to the subject, like ghosts, yeah? And they waffle on about it incessantly, and then, for whatever reason, in a non sequitur, link that to globe earth. I don't have to start as a flat earther by saying, okay, so let's set the scene. There's all these ghosts doing XYZ, and it's suggested that the XYZ performance of the ghosts will perform the function of globe proof. So I'm going to tell you how XYZ with ghosts doesn't perform the function our opponents say it does to prove a globe. I shouldn't be doing that as a flat earther. As a flat earther, I should be saying Earth's flat. And that's basically it. And when somebody comes to me, this is where, if you want to be the debater that we would suggest a good one would be, you need what Brian's just said, which is why it didn't come with an interruption. You still need that information when your opponent does actually preface these claims positively. From of their own volition, i.e. it comes out of their mouth, not yours as a flat earther. Now, I get for us to do this, Brian's got to make these claims so that the audience understands what the claim is when he takes it apart within logic and reason. But that's not to say that as an audience you take the bit where Brian details our opponent's claim and take that forward as though it's the argument. Yeah, you need to understand how to take it apart, but you need your opponent to actually be making that claim for it to be useful in a very, very, very specific scenario. Yeah? Don't just go, oh, well, now I've understood and comprehended how that argument Brian explained an opponent could make works. So I'll make it for him and take it apart. You're like, no. Know how that argument works so that when it comes up, you can take it apart. But your job as a flat earther isn't to bring up these claims from the globe side that fail. That's not your job. Your job is to tell
really
people
glad-
Earth's flat.
I'm really glad you said that, because actually that's kind of been, I think I've heard you say that this whole time before you said that we need to start on flat earth being the front foot, because something QE always says is don't put words in their mouth. And so the difference between, I guess, me and a lot of the guys in 24/7, and maybe the other half of guys in the 24/7, is when a Glober comes up, like they'll kind of either force them to make a claim or insinuate that they've made a claim. They'll say, "Well, your globe is this and this," and they'll do exactly what you said. Take whatever claim about the globe and start debunking that. And I'm like, they didn't say anything about that. Let them speak. Why don't you just speak about the evidence that the earth is flat? And if they ask you something, then answer it. And that's all you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that initially, though.
Yeah,
It's because I haven't said it
sorry.
directly to you guys. I've said it to other servers, not to you, because you're my panel, and there's this if I can say the word, telepathy assumption. Like, you know what I know because you're the panel. Well, no. Anyway, go ahead, Brian.
No, I agree with you, Nathan. Don't just go rushing at him with this thing about the debunked rotation when they haven't even said anything. Even if I'm going to even bring that up in a debate, like as in a one-on-one debate, I'll go through the globe claim first without mentioning anything about how I'm going to debunk it. And in a one-on-one debate, the person is obviously, we're in a one-on-one debate with a moderator, so that's the place for it. In somewhere like Discord, you have to leave someone bring it up. You have to, because in that situation, you have a whole group of people, and you won't have a moderator there between you and the other person. It's very likely the other person might try and change things halfway through, or want to go in a different direction with it. And you trying to bring it up, they can bring up anything. Whereas in a one-on-one debate, I know exactly how I lead that in, and they wouldn't know what I'm going to. All they know is I'm steel manning the globe claim. That's all they would know, and I'd be going through it and I'd be getting them to agree to their own claim, and show them how that is their own claim. And once they do that, then I would debunk it in a debate. But I wouldn't go around bringing it up. I just see then in a situation like Eli's talking about.
Yes, hold on, everyone else. Brian's in here. He's saying you wouldn't go around bringing it up. Yeah, we've got example literally 5 minutes ago of Brian detailing it. But there's reason for that, which I'll explain in a minute. But yes, absolutely, Brian. You don't want to be making their claims for them, essentially. Go ahead, whoever it was that was trying to get a word in there. Chocolate, go ahead.
Oh, I think it was John.
I was going to say, yeah, I'll be quick. I was just going to say, but sometimes, unfortunately, being in the particular arena that we're in, sometimes I think that's a necessary evil, because a lot of times we're dealing with people whose claims we know better than they do. You know, it might not be their specific claim, that specific person, but there's already an established paradigm that we have to go against, right? And whether they know it or not, that's the paradigm that they're defending.
Yeah, but they're the ones that have to defend it.
That's why I said.
We'll go with Eli after John. Go ahead, John. Yeah, I disagree, Chocolate, but go ahead, John.
Right, that's why I said. That's why I said the default position in people's minds is that it's a globe, because of the religion that's been, they've been born into. You have to change that default position first, and then everything else will flow from that. Their questions will flow from that. I promise you.
Yeah, my default position's changed. Exactly. My default position's changed, and therefore you need to instill that in others with a sense of calm and understanding that you now possess, because you understand Earth's flat as the default position. If you don't appreciate that and think incorrectly that you need to start with the default position of the globe and explain how their globe gets claimed so that you can take it apart, and you don't want them to be giving you the wrong version of it or anything, then you're on the wrong foot. The default position is flat for you and everyone always, but especially you, because we've all been brainwashed to think the default position's globe. Go ahead, Eli.
So I had this sentiment from the beginning. I just didn't have the flat Earth argument, or the saying the measurement that the Earth is flat, right? Yeah. And now again, I'm gonna lean on Chocolate, because Chocolate has been in the Discord server. And I'm not trying to differentiate me from everybody because I think I'm awesome. What I'm saying is
bullshit.
Everyone on this panel has a different style, and everyone in 24/7 has a different style. My unique style in 24/7, when everyone is, fighting, throwing chairs and stuff, I go, hold on. Okay. Can I speak to this person? I get everyone's agreement, and I say, okay, sir, let me ask you a question. Why are you here? What would you like me to do for you? When they start asking me questions about things I don't want to talk about, which is literally everything that doesn't have to do with my claim, I say, Well, I can't answer that. I'm not really here for that. This room is here for one purpose, and I'm here to tell you why I'm here. Would you be interested in that? Obviously, reasonably, after you've done that maybe twice, a person has to go, okay, well, yeah, I did come into your room. And so if I'm saying that I want to hear what you guys are talking about, then yes, obviously, I want to know why you're here. Boom. Except I didn't have Flat Earth, I had the Black Swan. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
nobody's attacking you from 2 years ago. You're getting a bit defensive, like we're doing that because it's obviously
no, not the
post the
defensive
video.
thing. The more important point is the sentiment was always, I'm not going to let you drag me down all of these avenues. I'm going to get you to ask me why I'm here, and then I'm going to give you my singular argument.
Sure, but when you say now that you feel more confident or whatever, because since whenever we start talking about Earth on the front foot with measurements that are very specific that you can start with as an opener and be conclusive with as an opener, that gives you the confidence to potentially move forward if you were to do it tomorrow on the front foot, right? With all that being said, there's a reason, and I'll come back to what I said earlier about Brian. Brian's just given us a full explanation about how the globe would claim it, how Neil deGrasse Tyson would claim the drift occurs north to south, south to north. He's giving the full explanation from their side, steel manning it as he puts it, and then taking it apart for how it fails. Now, there's a danger that you go, right, so that's how it's done then. No. As an educator, Brian needs you, the audience, to hear all of the information contextually laid down correctly within their, that's globe Earth, rhetoric, concisely, accurately, to then take it apart. But there's a danger, and I'm repeating myself, that when you hear it formatted in that way, there's an assumption that, oh, so when I debate this subject, I, being a flat earther, I, in the debate forum, need to open as Brian opened, explaining their position at length. No, you don't do that. Brian's doing it so that you can understand the argument should it come up. Should you be in a position to react to someone making these claims? Now, given that we've made thousands of shows, we'd hope that either through example from our opponents coming in and going, I claim Earth turns with this example, and us taking it apart, but for the, you can't always have an opponent making a very specific claim that you want to explain your understanding of. You need to explain it. But the audience might misconstrue that to mean, oh, I need to detail a globehead's claim for them. No, you don't. You're a flat earther now. So that leaves you with two roads. Now we're getting some clarity after 12 months. Road number one. You come to Flat Earth Debate, you listen for a few shows, and you realise Earth is measured flat. Then you get on with your day. What do I mean by road one? It means that you understand and appreciate with a decent amount of logic and some of the understanding of how a globe doesn't work, because that'll have filtered through in a few shows, that Earth's measured flat. And then it's no big deal to you. Nothing's going to change. We were always measuring it flat anyway, and we always will. Nothing in terms of the function and form of Earth has changed. You just know now that which you formerly believed in terms of sphericity. So you can get on with your day. That's it for you. But if you mistakenly think you can enter into debate with people, potentially about, let's say, I don't know, Earth rotation, because you listened to this show and heard Brian concisely and clearly go through the argument. No, he didn't. He gave you an education on the globehead's position and then showed you how to take it apart should it come up as an argument. But the rendition that Brian gave you wasn't the full meat and bones that you need if you're going to go into debate. Now, if you'd been here for 3 years listening to us, you'd understand that, hopefully. You'd understand that, no, this is something that you might have to deal with when a fundie puts this to you. It's not for you to put it for them on their behalf, though. And half of what people who think that they're good flat earth debaters or think they're good flat earth communicators do is go on shows, detail some bleeding globe argument that they've learned, explain the globe's position, explain how they know how to undo it, half the time don't do a wonderful job of it, and then leave the guy who's had the information put to him and indeed their audience scratching their head going, so it doesn't function as a globe because of that 5-minute explanation that you just went through that I don't fully understand. Okay, And I've got to now come to the conclusion that Earth's flat because of that. It's horrendous. And or depending on who you are, wonderful. If you're a globe believer, this would be exactly what you'd want the flat earthers to be doing. Going to great lengths to explain how the globe works so they can explain how it doesn't work. So you're hearing quite a lot about a globe then from this flat earther. How wonderful. Now I want to change all that to get to my conclusion, having summarised the whole show, in that if you're a flat earth debater or wannabe, you need to learn all of these arguments. Not that little soundbite that Brian just gave so you can regurgitate it and seem like you understand how a globe fails to rotate. No. Understand what Brian said, keep it in your arsenal and keep it in the logic of your brain that understands how it fails so that when you hear it, you can rattle off how it fails and summarise it on behalf of the person that put it to you. Not steel man a position that hasn't come yet. But what you do as a flat earther is tell them it's flat. It should be that simple. The same thing that gets you to get on with your day on road 1. If road 2 is what you decide, I'm going to be a debater, then you need to learn every single debate inside out and back to front to the point where, as an educator like Brian, you could potentially explain to an audience how not only the opponent's position works, but how it falls apart. But you're not expected to be doing that if you're entering into debate or going onto podcasts to explain how a flat earther's to be expected to be believed, or how, moreover, Earth is actually flat. If that's what you're there to do, just do that. Tell them it's flat. Oh, right, you really? So you're a flat earther? Yes. Why? Because Earth's flat. What makes you think that? I don't think it. That's how it's measured. All right, but I was under the impression we measured Earth curve. Oh, really? Now you need to know things like the black swan, don't you? Not, hi, you're a flat earther? Yes, I am. Why? Well, because if the Earth was a sphere radius 3959, then every distance to the horizon... Whoa. We seem to be talking about quite a lot of globe stuff as your opener here. I'm going to be left with the impression about how globe does maybe work or doesn't, according to you, if I could follow along with this long diatribe about how globe Earth should work, but doesn't. Which sounds better.
A quick aside right there. 50% of the time, the people that are, there are people that are, okay, I can't say that, but there are a lot of times that genuine people come in, and I didn't realize it back then, but they would ask us all the time, okay, I understand that you guys debunk the globe and stuff, but why is it flat?
Yeah.
And we didn't really have an answer.
Exactly. It should be our opener. If we're flat earthers, it should be the first thing out of our mouth, right?
I have to agree with some of what you're saying, Nathan, and disagree with some of what you're saying. I agree with lead out with the measurements of the Earth being a flat plane, right? I agree with that. Surveying, astronomy, celestial navigation, air flight, all these things, right? Lead out with that. Sorry? I missed that.
Fighting fires.
Fighting fires, if you want, fighting fires. I forgot about that one. Lead out with all those kind of things, like as opposed to talking about how much blockage there should be or any of this kind of stuff, right? But when it comes to something like rotation, I don't feel that the same. See, what you're talking about, Nathan, it's a bit idealized. Because if you're in a debate, you have to debate. And the way I would go about it is the implications of the official claims. Now, in some ways, or in truth and honesty, they talk about there would be on a globe X amount of blockage here if we were on a globe, but there isn't. So I'm using, in that situation, I'd be using the implication argument.
I hate it.
But
carry on.
Right, right. I know you hate that, but I'm saying that that's what that is. It's an implication argument. I like implication arguments, but I don't really use that one unless I don't normally use anything like that. But I like the measurements. But when it comes to rotation, you're either going to be educating the person about Coriolis, or you're just going to be taking what they're claiming And you have to, you must know about globiolas, what they think is Coriolis.
No,
You
totally
have to know
disagree.
about
I mean,
these aspects.
Yes, you do. If you're going to debate, I'm not going to disagree because you're going to always win this one, right? If you're going to enter into a discussion where someone brings it up or you bring it up, you've got to know your stuff. You've got to know what Coriolis is. You've got to know what globiolis is. You've got to know the mix between the two, reference frames, the full shebango. However, I fundamentally disagree. What's on screen now? Let's say the object's the sun. Yeah? What we're talking about? We're talking about measuring the positional information of these lights in the sky with respect to a flat plane. That's where I'd want to start if we were talking about what's claimed to affirm rotation when detailing these objects with regards to Earth being a non-inertial turning reference frame by assumption. And you've got to know how globiolis would affect... No. How do we actually ascertain what useful aspects these lights offer? Well, we'll track them with respect to a plane is the only thing I can think of as a useful, productive flat earther to offer, not undoing globiolis. Now, that's not to decry that you, and I've given you a whole long diatribe of why you would know how to preface a globe earth argument on their behalf. It's just not for the audience to take that as the way to debate it. Well, in this instance, you have been exemplary in terms of educating us, me specifically, about what globiolis means. And we're not going to go through that now. There's not enough live stream left. But that's another example. If you wouldn't dream of starting an argument with a globehead about detailing how we've got a Coriolis effect and what it is, how they don't like it and it gets pulled apart, therefore they come up with globiolis and what that is, and how they both fail, you'd be there for 20 minutes. In your opener, you've not even mentioned a flat Earth yet.
No, I mean, I'm not saying, see, it depends on the scenario, right? If you're in a situation where you're in a debate, where one-on-one debate, you must roll with what's going on. Do you know what I mean? You can't really manipulate it. What the person's going to bring up is what they're going to bring up, but there's no point in you bringing it up for them.
Yeah.
You talk about, if you're going to talk about that, and it should be something that proves the flat Earth. When they bring up their globe stuff, you debunk that, whether it be something to do with Earth core rotation, whatever.
Yes, now you're talking my language. So therefore, if you're in debate, this is what I've been trying to say all year, you need to know your stuff. You can't just have come to a few shows and learn a few debating points. Now, furthermore, when you say, oh, you can't bring stuff up, there's a reason that happens. It's because some flat earthers have only learned a handful of arguments. And because they might be in debate with a globehead, they need to try and seem to control the globe side of the discussion. So it can be their version of what they need to debunk because they've only learned one or two arguments. So if the globe opponent brings anything but those arguments up, they're screwed. Therefore, they bring up what the globe says so that they can keep in their control what they're debunking about the globe, the bits they've learned. So it's weak debaters that end up needing to do this. I'll put forth what the globe will say because then I can debunk it and keep it within my control. Whereas if I allow my opponent to randomly shove out some random globe claim, I might not know how to overcome it. Well, what are you doing there then? If you don't know your opponent's side, you shouldn't be there. And if you are, and you just happen to be tagged as a flat earther when you're doing a book discussion and it's random and nothing to do with you debating flat earth, you just tell them, like, then you've got your cursory understanding that you can lean back on. Yeah, I just know it's measured flat. Well, how? Well, elevation angles. But the globe says, yeah, I don't really debate this and that's not what I'm here for. I'm doing a book review. You know, if it's in a different subject arena, suddenly you're not expected to know every in and out of globe claims. But if you're in a debate arena about the globe, you're not expected to just know one or 2 points and be able to regurgitate them from the point of view of the globe head to take it apart. You need to quietly know all these arguments inside out and back to front just in case they come up, which is a tall order, right?
Yeah, it means you have to learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
You have to be able to respond to anything that's brought up. That means you need to know every part of, and maybe, I know I did, I can't speak for everyone else. Every time I came across any heap of nonsense argument from them, regardless of who was from, I'd look into what it is and I'd have a response if that is ever, even if it's something obscure, I'd have a response if that thing is ever brought up to me. But I'm certainly not bringing that up myself.
Until you know
Then
it
what's the-
inside.
yeah.
Well,
'Cause it shows
let me just
fear
correct you.
at that stage.
Just up until the point where you are then the expert. Like earlier on the show, when Brian went through the north to south Coriolis deflection in the form of globiolus and what Neil deGrasse Tyson details therein, he's doing it as an educator. Yeah? It's not that he's just heard something in a comment and he's like, oh, I'll look into that quickly. Oh, right, I'm trying to learn and comprehend how that... No, we're talking about someone 10 years into the subject who can summarise things beautifully. And I'll keep saying it. That's not the way you actually debate it, though. It's just another thing that you need to keep in your arsenal.
Well, that's something I could use, or one of us, anyone could use. Let's say Eli, if he's on the Killah Priest podcast, he could go through that because it's educational, right? What's good about that? Why I went for that particular thing the way I did wasn't to reference globiolus. It was to take the argument about between Coriolis and globiolus out of it, because the ballers kept on not understanding Coriolis, and flat earthers kept on trying to educate them in, and they end up in an argument for an hour about what Coriolis is, as opposed to, which was a red herring away. The ballers knew what they're at. They were using it as a red herring away from them having to show their earth rotation. So the flight north from London to Accra has nothing to do with Coriolis. Absolutely nothing. It's just an implications of what they're claiming. So there's no Coriolis involved. There's nobody looking up at anything, not deviating, if you know what I mean. Or deviating, appearing to deviate, I should say. Or the ballers would say not deviating because of blah, blah, blah. No, it's a complete step. You basically completely step completely past Coriolis with this. But if they're going to bring up Coriolis, then I bring them straight to the stars. And anything that's not conducive with that exact example is not Coriolis.
Sure.
That's how I deal with that.
But there's a subtle change in direction over the last 12 months, which now is easier to summarise because we've been doing it a while. And when you transition from one thing to anything else, it's always going to be difficult because there's old ways of doing it that are still in place and changing. And now, 12 months down the line, you're like, okay, we're looking back on stuff. Killah Priest is a good example where you go, okay, we wouldn't do it like that now. Yeah, because we've transitioned and can now summarise what we're trying to detail to an audience in regards to that transition. It's no longer the case that we suggest people should undo how people believe the default position of a globe, because it isn't the default position. Now, the default position is your position as a flat earther, and you should assert that. If you are in a position being asked proactively to assert it, no Earth's measured flat. But that's all you need to do. On the other hand, if you're of the ilk that needs to go forth and debate, then it's not to say that you need to understand one little debating point and then regurgitate it. This is how the globe says we see Earth curve, and yet we don't see Earth curve because black swan. No. You just need to know that argument so that when someone does claim, no, we've got Earth curve, likewise, when somebody suggests, no, we've got pictures from space, you need to know how to react to that with the second law, not open up your foray into the discussion with, they say that space is a vacuum. No. That's not how this should go forth. I say Earth is flat. I say it because that's how it's measured. Is your opener. And on top of that, knowing all of the positions that can come from your opponent, inside out, back to front, and to the point where you can better argue for a globe than they can. But being potentially able to argue better for a globe than they can doesn't mean that you should start by explaining a globe better than they can as your opener. That was pretty concise. Only took 12 months. Any more for around out and ask people to stay tuned for the after show. No? Well, with that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the super chat. Shout out to Phoenix Rising 86 for hit the super chat. Let's just read out that super chat. I don't think I did. We live on the plane of existence, and that's why. Peace sign. Thank you very much for the super chat, Phoenix Rising 86. And another massive thank you to my Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.